Usually this type of venues are reserved for insurance salesmen repricing the new mutual fund premium. They want to sell to boomers, but I guess here we are back. Now, all jokes aside, I would like to thank the Graph for putting this amazing event together in this beautiful city. My name is Ivan, and I would like to talk about AI-generated apps on top of the blockchain, or open data lakes. Let's start with a little history first. 2008 financial crisis, the humanity needed another hopium, and we found it again in technology. Correlated with major releases or launches of App Store, Google Play Store, zero interest rate that started the golden era of developing applications. It lasted not that long though. 2013 it was over, and if you look at your phone, look at the widely adopted apps been developed since 2013, you will not find that many, almost no one except maybe TikTok. And the reason for that is quite simple, because every format of content presentation is already taken by a major key player. You have Twitter for short text, TikTok for short videos, YouTube for long videos, and the list goes on. From time to time, there's a new player that try to capture market share, but not very successfully. Usually what they do is they try to take an already existing format of content delivery and combining it or restraining it a little to shape a new narrative. I brought a couple of examples here. I don't know how many know Be Real here, but it's an app that actually combines image and scarcity. You do one image a day, share it with your friends. They also had a lot of traction, and now the app become kind of irrelevant. Another example is Clubhouse that adopted podcasting and live interactions and been adopted into Twitter Spaces, and nobody uses Clubhouse anymore. So the value add, the very small value add that the new applications provide cannot compete against the network effects that traditional players already have. And what they all see is that they kind of stuck, and they either get acquired or become irrelevant. But we are not better off in Web3, right? But with Web3, the social media giants are actually the protocols. A new application appears, it's starting to get traction, people start using it, onboarding new users on chain, and then the excitement over, and some of the users stick on the network. A recent example of it was FriendTag. It's onboarded many OnlyFans influencers to the platform. It's kind of a completely new user group next to the DeFi degens. And probably some of them stuck on the platform, but FriendTag is not doing so well anymore. So let's wrap it up. What is happening? All form of content presentation are already taken by key players. Decentralized social media are mostly only the copycat of classic Web2 social media. And the little value add of decentralization is not very appealing to the public, so they really have no chance to compete. Simply merging paradigms might provide a quick value add, but not enough to keep sustainable growth. And what an interesting implication out of it is this vicious cycle that risk capital rather invest in protocols than in applications. And what we have is overfunded infrastructure, but not very well-funded application layer. And this is not the way how we're going to onboard the next 1,000 or billion user on chain. But before all of you are running out here and start to build the next L1, there are too many, and a fresh air come from ChatGPT. It kind of broke the record of Instagram and reached 1 million users in 5 days. What's so special about ChatGPT? It is not really an app. It is an app, but it's not really an app. It is able to innovate based on the input. It's not restrained to a certain form of content, or it's not restrained to a type of content. It's multimodal. You can give it videos, you can, not yet, but you can give it images, you can give it text, and you can shape it whatever you want. It have not this vertical value add that domain-specific applications have. It's rather broad. So the future of applications will be built with AI. So should we go out and do it? Not quite. The traditional web is not fit for that. Traditional web is basically a graph with siloed information. And it becomes more and more siloed. It lacks on the promise that was born with the beginning of the web. We see that major players that have a lot of content closing down because they also recognize the value of the data of the content. And if you think about other problems that web has, it has no clear provenance, no clear data attribution. Licensing, if you want to license and reward people for the data, it does not scale due to the complex regulation across countries. Fake content, provenance is another big problem over there. And that raises the need of open data lakes, and blockchain is in fact an open data lake. A source of data that gives us access to it, where the protocols are immutable, where we can fairly attribute value to content creators, that scales and is permissionless. So we at DataOS are building it on top of Arweave. For all of you who don't know what Arweave is a permissionless, decentralized storage network on a blockchain technology. It's an OG protocol that exists since 2008. It was the mainnet launch. And a majority, arguably the majority of content-heavy applications on the blockchain are using it to store the data. And what's very special now, I'm not sure if you've seen the recent episode of Joe Rogan with Elon Musk, where he criticized NFTs, that they're actually links to centralized services where the NFT is stored. An approach that Arweave deals with data as a first-class citizen. Arweave allows to encode logic, licensing, and attribution directly into a piece of data. So every piece of data is automatically tokenized, so you're able to encode your logic into it as a first-class citizen, and you have a licensing concept that describes how this data could be used commercially and what value the creator expects from it. Besides of that, because every asset on Arweave is automatically tokenized, you are able to invest in a data asset. If you might find a piece of data that you think that will become available over time, you can invest in it and participate in the future revenue share that this data asset might produces. So are we done yet? Actually, no. How can we solve this? The core value add of every social media platform and content platform is discovery and the recommendation engine. We kind of take discovery as granted because we have Google for ages and YouTube that recommends us the stuff we want to see. It kind of works. The limitation of the system is that they're very close down to the centralized data source and that they only can recommend linearly the same source of data they have, the same type of data they have. If you think about YouTube can recommend YouTube videos, Twitter can recommend tweets, and so on. Large language models give us multimodality that allows us to take any type of content, any form of content, and deep discovery to transcribe this asset, to lift it in a form that is usable by another large language models and can be utilized very effectively. The next step, if we solve discovery, is content recommendation system. To recommend content, we need to discover it. We're working on a network of autonomous curator agent. Think about like a Hollywood agent that finds talent and finds a piece of data, is able to curate it, compose it, and recommend it. Every curator agent maintains their own vectorized content prediction graph that actually composes content and shows which content can be composed with another piece of content that exists on chain. If you think about it, that now, by having this technology, we can build a recommendation not only from text to text or video to video, but we can go much deeper. We create a much deeper search space, and those can provide very precise and unique recommendation. And combined with that, we're escaping the narrative by building a static application and hoping that it might get traction or not. We're able to continuously innovate using every type of information available to compose a unique experience for a user who actually wanna, his demand is to interact with this content he wants at this time as he wants it, and see as many of it as possible at his own pace. I know this is quite abstract, so in the next slide, I can show you how it actually can look like. You start from any type of content, let's say a video, and using the model to extract key information out of it. This key information is chunked and used to match it to, for example, social media feeds or a certain name or a certain project is mentioned. This again can be composed into a visualization that explains the concept that it meant. It can find financial information like tokens that are mentioned, and actually, because Arweave used as a storage for many oracles, provide dynamic feeds for this information, dynamic price feeds. And by starting with a video, you can actually come out with a unique representation of a view with dynamic views of a token, analytics, and a way to buy and sell or interact with an asset. Yeah, to wrap it up, AI is quite ready to build a new web, but the traditional web is not, and arguably it never will be. The next generation of applications that will engage users effectively, that will outcompete the traditional players, will be built on top of open data lakes, on top of open smart contracts, incentivizing data providers, ensuring data attribution and composability. You can think about language models in the case as a missing link between every type of data that exists that you can compose to a unique experience. The main hurdles for that we need to solve is decentralized discovery and recommendation. I leave you with that. Thank you. No questions? Great. Then enjoy your night.